When I was asked to chair the employment review, my Whitehall handlers told me that it would take about 1 day a week. It's often felt more like 1 day a day. Because of PERDA, I won't this evening be discussing the specific recommendations of the review, but I will talk about something that is shared by the RSA and by the review team that I've been working with, and that's a commitment to improving the quality of work in the UK economy. There are 2 reasons why I wanted to provoke a public debate about good work. First, although we've had in the review positive engagement from across government, there's always a slight danger with things like this, that they're set up to respond to an immediate political need, and when that moment passes, the review is left high and dry. The graveyard of government reviews is not meritocratic. Some very good work has been buried. So it's important to stay in the public eye. We've toured around the country sharing our thoughts with audiences from Belfast to Maidstone. We've been helped by a string of high-profile court cases about the employment status of taxi drivers, couriers, plumbers. The Chancellor's announcement in the budget and the subsequent U-turn added another shot of publicity to our work. But despite all of that, it's always been my plan to try to push the issue of good work up the agenda in the weeks ahead of our report. And I'm very grateful to the many people who have in one way or another joined in the RSA's Good Work Is social media campaign over recent days. But as well as making sure that people are ready for the review, the second reason is that in my experience, and judging by the evidence from surveys of public policy success and failure, and sadly failure is the norm, and based on the RSA's way of thinking, we've come to the conclusion that legitimacy is vitally important to social change. If the public don't understand what change is for, don't agree with its direction, or don't believe its goals are possible, then even well-crafted policy initiatives are likely to fail. Our review was given broad terms of reference. It's not just about gig working, as is sometimes reported. It's about how we improve the quality of working lives across our economy. But the review only makes sense, and it's only likely to gain traction if not just the government, but the country as a whole, workers, employers, consumers, citizens, think that good work matters and the good work economy is one we should and that we can build. And that's why I was pleased yesterday to see the results of a survey by Populus commissioned by the RSA. That survey found that 3 out of 4 people think we should do more as a country to improve the quality of work. Perhaps more telling is the contrast between the over 2/3 who think that we can make all work fair and decent, and the less than 1 in 10 who think this is the case now. Now, I agree with the public, and I want to explain why this is the time to commit to good work. But before I do, is it even necessary? Surely no policymaker or business leader, however hard-nosed, would oppose the goal of good work. So it's important to recognise that a genuine commitment to that goal would be a substantive shift. For several decades, encapsulated in the phrase work first, government policy has prioritised creating more jobs over the content and nature of those jobs. And there's been an implicit assumption that there's a trade-off between quantity and quality. The major exception to that assumption was the creation of the minimum wage in 1999 and its upgrade to a living wage. But it isn't just policymakers who are ambivalent about good work. Despite the polling I've just cited, there's a widespread scepticism that all work can be good work. And from some business interests, we still hear the implicit argument that to aim for better work would somehow undermine competitiveness. So in making the case for good work for all, we are pushing against assumptions in policy, against public scepticism, and against the perceived interests of some parts of business. So that means the argument has to be strong. My case this evening, and until and beyond the publication of the review, is that all work in the British economy should be fair, should be decent, and should provide scope for fulfilment and for progression. Having a job is sadly no guarantee of being free of poverty. In fact, of the 13.5 million people in the UK living in poverty, 55% are in working households. Now, the living wage will make an impact on this. And despite the cuts that have come and the cuts that are planned, our tax credit system is more comprehensive than most countries. But still, it's difficult to see a route through existing policy that can lead us away from high levels of working poverty. The scale of in-work poverty makes a case for better work on several levels. Clearly, our ultimate goal should be to create higher paid, more productive jobs. And one important implication of that is that industrial strategy needs to be about low-skilled, low-pay sectors like care, retail, hospitality, as well as top-end high-tech areas. For many people, the question is less about the job they have now and more about the job they hope to get next. Less than half the respondents to that survey that I cited felt that they had made progress in their careers over the last 5 years. So we need to develop better paths of progression. Every job needs to be one that offers workers the realistic prospect of getting better work in the future. And because in-work poverty is unlikely to be abolished for the foreseeable future, we have a moral responsibility to ensure that those who are poorly paid are at least able to exercise their rights at work and be treated with care and respect. But might a debate about good work also be a catalyst? Could it be the issue to open up a broader reflection on our aspirations for ourselves and our fellow citizens? A more creative way of thinking about inequality and exclusion? A wider conversation about our responsibilities to each other, employer to worker, employee to organisation, consumer to producer? Most people enjoy their work, but too many don't get what they want or what they need. For some people, the issue is basic rights and a decent salary. But the thousands of people who've got involved in our social media campaign, Good Work Is, have returned again and again to other themes: genuine flexibility, being valued and respected, learning and growing, having voice and autonomy, feeling work has a meaning and a purpose. And if this is what we want for ourselves, isn't it what we should want for everyone?